In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace a brake master cylinder in this Chevy Silverado. It's going to be under the hood on the driver's side. Let's get into it. Disconnect the connector right here. Just pull up on the tab, slide it off, slide that out of the way. I'm going to loosen up these two lines. I'm using a 15mm line wrench. Just break them free a little bit. That's good. I don't want them dripping, just so they're just barely snug on there. We're going to take those two nuts off first using a 15mm socket. Loosen those up. Take those nuts off. Take that off. Now with those loose, I'm just going to take these lines off. You're going to lose a little bit of brake fluid. You might want to put a bucket underneath. Just using a 15mm wrench now. You can still use the line wrench if you want to, but once they're loose, it's easier to use a open wrench. On the stud, there's a little lock ring here. Just use a screwdriver and just pry it off, or even some pliers. You can just cut it off. You don't have to put that back on after. That's just for assembly. I'm just using some side cutters and just cut that off. It's just a little push retainer. And slide these out. Set that aside. There's a little bit of a vacuum on there because of the seal. Be careful of the drips. You don't want to drip on any of the paint. So I'm just going to use this pad. Now we're going to bench bleed the new master cylinder before we install it. If you don't do this, it's just going to be harder to bleed in the vehicle. What we're going to do is take these tubes that have the threaded ends on them. We'll put these in here. You can do this without these tubes, but it's not as easy. These are just plastic ends. Tighten these down, and then the hoses are going to go in here, and it's just going to circulate the fluid. Then we're going to push on the plunger with fluid in there, and it's just going to circulate and get rid of all the bubbles. If you didn't have these, what you can do is, what you could do is push on this with the plunger. I'm just using a Phillips head screwdriver. And then put your fingers over the holes when you release the plunger, and then do it again. Push the plunger, fluid will come out, and then push your fingers on the holes. It doesn't work as well as doing it this way. Now fill this with the correct brake fluid. Might get some leaks, and that's okay. And you can see fluids coming out already. And I filled it to about halfway. Now just push. You can see all the air. You're just trying to get as many of the air bubbles out as possible. There it goes. That looks pretty good. A couple more times. And keep doing this until you get all the air out. There we go. All right, now we're gonna go take this off and put it in the car. Be careful of that O-ring. You don't want to mess that up if you put this in the vise. Now slide this in position. And put the 2 nuts on. Before we torque these down, we're just going to take these out, take these off. You're going to lose a little brake fluid again. Just as long as there's plenty of fluid in the master. Slide that off, slide the lines in place. And get those started. Just trying to do it pretty quick. Those lines are snug. Now I'm just going to tighten down the 2 bolts on the side. Just make sure that's in the proper place. Now we're going to torque these to 24 foot-pounds. That's good. Now we can plug the connector in, line that up. And then you want to top off the fluid, and we're just going to bleed them right here first. You're going to have an assistant in the cab of the truck pumping the brake pedal. All right, what I want you to do is just push down on the brake pedal. And I'm just going to crack this free. A little bit of fluid came out, and I'll snug this up. Make sure the back one's snug as well. All right, let up. All right, push it down. All right, hold it. I'm just going to crack the line free, see if any air comes out. Not really much air came out. Okay, let up. I'll do the same on this one. Push down, hold it. Not really any air came out, so that's good. Snug these up. If you can torque these, you want to use a torque wrench. Torque these to 18 foot-pounds. After you're done bleeding right there, you should do a conventional brake bleed and bleed all of the brakes, and do an automated bleed, which you're going to need a scan tool to do that. Follow along in the scan tool with the procedure for which wheel you need to do first, and have an assistant in the car so that you can bleed those brakes conventionally.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.